How's it hanging, YouTube? It's Peter here, your Ginger Geordie Geek, for another Friday night get together. This is becoming a bit of a regular thing. Over the moon to be back live on screen, and as usual, I'm joined by my very good friends. So I can't go live without him. We've got James T. How you doing, mate?
Ew.
Oh, that was
Friday,
like
Friday.
Ew.
Gotta get done on Friday.
How are you doing? It's ages since we've seen each other, James.
I know, right? Like it's always too long.
Hours.
Always too long.
Nice to see you. Thank you very much for
man.
joining. Got lots to talk about tonight. I know you have seen Scream, so we'll be touching on that a little bit later on. And I know we've got quite a lot of geeky news and things to cover as well. So looking forward to getting into that with you.
Yeah, be a good one.
Okay, who else we've got? We've got the mythical beast himself. I'm stealing your lines now. That's what you say, isn't it?
It's a good one, isn't it? I like it.
Yeah, I'll use it anyway. We've got the mythical beast himself. More beast than myth. We've got Luke from Hydra Collectibles. How are you doing, Luke?
I'm good. Remember, guys, we're not the wet bandits anymore. We're the sticky bandits, right? This is the sequel.
That's quite right. It's a sequel to Home Alone. Thank you very much for joining, Luke. Again, ages since I've seen you.
Really long time. 12 hours maybe?
About 12 hours, yeah. Always nice to have you on, mate. Always enjoy listening to your views. Next, now, we'll just chill and just ready for the build-up because he likes to make a bit of an entrance. We've got Efren.
What is going on, comic book familia? We are back, second Friday in a row. It seems Triple G's wife is not around, so that's why we're doing these videos. I can't wait to talk to you guys about all things comic books. And Luke and I are having a friendly argument, Chameleon over Mystique. If anybody wants to chime in on the messaging, go ahead. You know, who's the better villain? You know, so
Mystique, surely. Just for
no
looks alone.
I would say
no one's denying it. Efren just making this up.
just having fun. It was a good short video that you had. It really got my attention. You know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Lovely to have you here, Efren. Always enjoy having you on the stream, mate. So nice to see you.
Okay.
And we've got, and he's got some exciting news, guys, which he'll cover at the end, I'm sure. It feels like it's been a long time coming, but we'll let it pass. We've got comic lad Simon. How are you doing?
Hello. I'm good, man. How are you?
Very well, very well. Simon, very, very excited. Do you want to spill the beans now?
We'll save it. Let's get
enough.
people in.
All right.
you had two chances to plug Simon.
Two chances. Screw you, not mentioning it. Yeah. We'll build the excitement. And last but not least, he's becoming a regular part of our pack. What do you call it? Is it a pack? A pack of owls? Mowls?
Owl pack.
We'll call it a pack. He's becoming part of our pack. Dr. Von Hoot. How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, not bad, mate. It's a parliament of mouths, just so you know.
Parliament of mouths. Parliament of mouths. You are looking very good as usual. Very dapper, sir. Are you?
I'll do my best.
Good stuff. Now you did messages beforehand to say you might be a little bit late because you're shaving your legs. Is that right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Now the big question, Dr. Von Hoot, because I know you're going to try and get to see Scream. Have you managed to see it yet?
I did, yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Good stuff. So there'll be some discussion about that a little bit later on. We will warn people when we're going to go into spoilers. So don't fret. We're not going to spoil anything. Okay. We may have some other people joining as the night goes on. And if they do, we'll jump onto them and say hello when they come in. But for now, let's quickly jump into the chat and see who we've got. We've got good old StreamYard.
Quack, quack.
Quack, quack. Always a pleasure. We've got Past Point Comics. Efren. Hello. We've got Ian Carter. Nice to see you again, Ian. Hope you are doing well, mate. We've got Fuzzy Dunlop. Right, start the arguments. I'm ready. No arguments here, Fuzzy. We're all getting along nicely. We've got Sonic Comics. Nice to see you, bud. We've got GP Venom. Always a pleasure, GP. We've got Mrs. Von Hoot. thank you very much for joining. Some tremendous artwork again from Mrs. Von Hoot on Monday's Geek Art Attack. Make sure you go and check that out. She sent in some superb images. Fuzzy Dunlop, he's got a lot to learn. I'm going to assume that's in relation to Simon. And you're right. You're right, Fuzzy. Hydra Collectibles, vote Chameleon. Absolutely not. Okay. So we've got quite a bit to go through tonight, guys. So we're just going to crack straight on. We're covering all kinds of geeky news. There's been a lot this week. So let's just make a start. Now, first thing I wanted to talk about is this. So Kevin Feige was supposed to be doing a Star Wars movie, and it's been announced this week that has been shelved. However, Taika Waititi is still on the...
what did you say?
Taika
Waititi.
Guys, have we not established by this point that I can't speak? Right? You just have to go with it, right? You're lucky it's actual words. Normally up in Geordie land, we just make grunts and kind of noises.
And why?
So, yeah.
Just say his name one more time. What was it?
Taika Waititi.
Taika Waititi.
Is that it? Simon the comic lad. How dare you, sir? How dare you? So like I say, we've got Kevin is still doing. Sorry, is cancelled his movie, and
which movie is cancelled? Which one?
His Star Wars one, Simon.
Yeah, but what was it supposed to be called?
We don't know.
We don't
it's just
know.
Kevin Feige's producing one. Yeah.
Okay.
What do we think of that? Anybody bothered?
They just can't get their shit together. Like this is like approaching Warner Brothers levels of incompetence here. Yeah, like we haven't had a Star Wars movie in what 3 years now, 4 years now.
Oh, 4 years, I think, isn't it?
4 years, yeah. And like I want to go back to the cinema and sit. Like it's nice to have these longer format stories like with the Mandalorian and Andor and everything. But I miss sitting down in the cinema and like being in that universe.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because we were talking the other day, I think it was with Luke, and we were talking off screen about the spectacle. That's not even a word either. The spectacle of going to the cinema and that feeling. And there are certain films for me. So Mission Impossible being one, and Star Wars being the other, where that theme music kicks in. Jurassic Park as well, maybe, and you just get that beat in your heart straight away, and you think, yeah, we're off. Yeah. Indiana Jones is another one. Do you know what I mean? Those kind of iconic themes that just pump you up straight away.
Cinema worthy, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely, Simon. I think when you're sitting there in the cinema and the lights are out and it hits, it's just a special thing. So I'm with you, James. I think it's a shame we've not had anything for a little while. That said, the last one was pretty shite, wasn't it?
I had faith that Kevin Feige one would have been, and these would be like the one-offs, like the kind of Rogue One's Solo style.
Have you not seen the recent Marvel movies?
Well, how dare you, sir? How dare you? Yeah. There's something.
Truth.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, there's something gone awry, I think, hasn't there, with big budget movies. I don't know if they're just getting too relaxed and the money's just too easy to make these days or something. I mean, Dr. Von Hoot, are you a big Star Wars fan?
Not really. I've seen them all. I like them. They're not like near and dear to me. If you see what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because I guess, and James, I know you're a massive Star Wars fan. For me, the best movies they've had over the last few years have been those Solo movies. I thoroughly enjoyed Solo, to be honest. And I know it got a lot of stick, but I thought Solo was a good movie, and I thought Rogue One is the best Star Wars movie I've seen.
That's one of my favorites.
I think it is my favorite one
all time. Rogue One.
Yeah. Luke, what about yourself? Do you think this is an interesting move?
I'm very controversial when it comes to all of this. I think they need to dial it back. I think we need longer breaks between movies. Back in the day, like I mentioned before, we only had 3 Star Wars movies, and we loved them. We watched them multiple times. They were on TV every Christmas, and as a fan base, we digested them. They became part of us. And I think that's what's lacking nowadays. With these streaming services, someone in the chat just said about the pump and dump of the shows. It's literally a case of here's the next bit of content, and people aren't actually rewatching and absorbing it. So it's all well and good for us who have already got that connection to the franchise. But anyone new, like my children, for example, they don't care about that stuff. You know, they like watching the old movies over and over again on repeat, much like I did, but they don't. They're not going to catch up on everything. And the same for the MCU. Like, it's all becoming, you know, you compare, for example, The Mandalorian with the Book of Boba Fett, where you had to watch Boba Fett for The Mandalorian to make sense. The same said for the MCU. You know, if you didn't watch WandaVision, you didn't understand Multiverse of Madness. Yeah. It's becoming so interwoven that you're being forced to watch stuff that you otherwise might not actually care about.
Yeah. So you think less is more?
I think less is more. And, you know, I'm not surprised that Feige can't do his project. You know, he's doing so much else around Disney and Marvel and the rest of it. They just need to get back to, you know, really dialing it back and just having a couple of projects each year.
It's a bit like James Gunn not being on the next Peacemaker because he's so busy with DC. You know, you can't stretch a director all over the place.
Yeah, they start to get too distilled, don't they?
That being said, though, I think 15 years is too long to be waiting between.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The exciting thing about Disney buying Star Wars was we're going to get more Star Wars, and you know, I think it's more present in our lives now. Like, I think my fandom for Star Wars has intensified since Disney bought it because there's more things to.
I think what it is as well is like we need to get away from the Skywalkers.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Yes, if you're going to do that open world, and if you're going to really explore what Star Wars,
what we need to do is hit the games. The games go predated it. You know, in the Star Wars lore, we need to be going way back, like where the comics are, where the games are. We don't want to be still in the, you know, like you're saying, in the Luke's like Skywalker sort of.
And I wonder if that's partially the success of The Mandalorian, because it was quite separate from the Skywalkers and all that kind of stuff in many ways. I just want to jump to the comments, guys, just before we move on. Fuzzy's saying there that that film won't happen. I completely agree.
I agree. Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen either.
I think this particular director has shot himself in the foot with Thor. I think there's a lot of focus on him now because that film. I know there's various opinions, and it's interesting. I don't think I've had Dr. Von Hoot's opinion on Thor. I thought it was shite.
It's painful. Yeah, it's really bad.
He wants to.
He learned nothing from the film that he made previously that was good, and they took all the negatives and just crammed it together as if nothing mattered.
Yeah.
He also wants to star. I believe he's going to be starring in that movie too. The main character.
Well, he's another one of these directors that likes to put himself in his own.
No, movies, but he's not just like a Korg or a droid or something. He's going to start. He's going to be the main character in it. Like, so it's going to be like.
I will say, mate, I thoroughly enjoyed Jojo Rabbit. I don't know if any of you guys saw that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That was an amazing movie.
Very good.
He should just do another indie to kind of get people's faith back. I think before he tackles another big.
He loves doing his comedies though, and like that, the last Thor film didn't want to be comedy.
It was deeply unfunny. Like that's the biggest problem. It was just.
I love that. Yeah, deeply unfunny. They should put.
You didn't like Bao God of Dumplings, no?
This is my favorite film that he's ever done.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
What's that one?
This is one of my favorite films of all time. Hunt for the Wilder People.
Oh, I don't think I've seen that one.
Fantastic film.
It's
Really
really
highly recommend it.
Again, sorry guys, just to jump to the comments. Emmons World of Geek with Bob Iger back at Disney. Helen, he's cancelling things. I think you're right. Mate. I think the quality has definitely dropped, and I think we can see that. I know I keep going and harking back into it, but we can see that with the CGI. Back in the day, they wouldn't have put stuff out if it had shite CGI, and now it doesn't seem to be an issue. They just bang it out left, right, and centre. Pump and dump shows really did a disservice to the product. Yeah, Emmons there just listing his favourites: Jedi, Empire, Rogue One, and New Hope. Yeah, I like those as well.
Jedi first, really.
Jedi's got a place in my heart, mind. Really
it's in my lower half for those movies, I think.
Really?
Not crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, not crazy about it. Yeah.
Fuzzy is saying their society's changed nowadays when he's stimulating constantly. Yeah, we don't watch things the same as we did 20 years ago. We can't wait anymore. Yeah, I agree.
That's just not true, though. Like, there's live streams that, like this one, that's going to be 2 hours long. Like people watch stuff in huge amounts. They also do bite size, but
Yeah.
And also, I just said doo.
Yeah. Everyone's giving us a hand there. Ty Cat, thank you very much, mate. Ty Cat, TV. Jedi first, yes, very first Star Wars movie. Remember, and again,
Okay.
I know this is something we've talked about before. There is that nostalgia hit to things, isn't there? So I remember seeing Jedi. I mean, Empire was phenomenal as well, but I remember seeing Jedi, and it was just so cool. You know, the whole Jabba scenes and the black costume on Luke and everything, and yeah, it's got a very important place in my heart.
Just before we move on or continue, you mentioned about Iger and how he's like swapping things over and getting things in and taking stuff out, but like I think it's wrong that they're doing another Toy Story. Like for me, that should have ended a long time ago. And the fact that they just keep bringing it back because it's a money maker, because it's a name that they can trade on, I think is wrong as well. I think Disney's making a lot of.
But
mistakes.
3 and 4 are great movies, I think. So I wouldn't. If 5 is also a great movie, I don't have a problem.
But 1, 2, and 3 was like the perfect trilogy, and I'm not denying that there wasn't good bits in number 4. You know, there was. I laughed out loud a couple of times, but overall, I feel like it so took away from that ending in part 3.
I don't understand where Lightyear fits into it.
Lightyear was a disaster.
It was just the brand. The thing is Lightyear was actually a good film, and I think if they just done it as a separate character and it wasn't Buzz Lightyear, if it was just an astronaut film, I think it could have done well. I think it was a good enough story to be its own thing.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think the whole Toy Story thing is a strange thing. Fuzzy's just saying there won't wait 15 years between films. I agree, Fuzzy. But Avatar has made a shit ton of money. Yeah, and I just don't understand that. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it's a good film. Don't get us wrong, but I didn't feel the nostalgia was there going into that. Do you know what I mean?
Also, like if the Taika Waititi movie happens, it'll be 6 to 7 years, but like between movies at that point, you know, since episode 9. So we're not that far off of that already.
Yeah.
I think the problem with all these films that we've been talking about is none of them are new. There's nothing fresh to grab our attentions. We're talking about 30 years history for some of these movies already. And for some, if it was brand new, I think everybody would gravitate towards it more.
I think this is the problem.
Good
like
point,
I was saying, like they have the ideas, they're just not brave enough to let them be their own new thing. They keep attaching a brand name to it.
Well, let's move on, but in a similar theme, talking about kind of reinvigorating franchises that have been around for a long, long time. We've got this new Turtles trailer that came out. Now, I have to say, this talk caught me completely by surprise. I must have been oblivious to this coming out. Dr. Von Hoot, come to you first. What did you think of this?
I didn't see the trailer. I did. The first I heard about it was a day before the trailer dropped, and they had like the cast listing, and I was like, "Oh, Jackie Chan's in it." Okay, you have my attention. Not enough for me to watch the trailer, but you know, that's something.
Are you a Turtles man?
Like I sort of like it. It's a bit like Star Wars. I like it, just don't really care. You know, not passionate.
What about yourself, Efren?
Nope, didn't see it myself, and I heard about it briefly today. But I'm not that much of a Turtles fan. Hopefully, it's a good animated show. You know, it looks more like kid orientated by the way these turtles look. They look young.
Well, it's you're saying that because the voices are very young. It's set at the start of the teenage years, I think. James, I'll come to you next.
So I don't like Ninja Turtles, and I watched the trailer because I do my research. But it's actually it's piqued my interest. Like I'm reading a bit about it as well, and like I'm quite fascinated by it. Like it's very clearly Spider-Verse inspired. You know, the art style is very kind of similar. It has that framiness, like the comic book style that Spider-Verse has as well. But there's like a mix of sort of like it's almost like a sketchbook, like a lot of the backgrounds are like almost graffiti or painted or something. So like visually, I think it looks incredible. Really amazing cast. Like I'm actually like excited to see it. So I think
It's got a stunning voice
good.
cast, doesn't it? An absolutely
Yeah,
stunning
absolutely.
voice.
Yeah.
Simon, where do you stand on it?
I used to love the Turtles way back when, and I used to watch them. I do like this art style. I've watched League of Legends Arcane, which is in the same sort of style.
They said it's inspired visually by that.
Yeah, and I actually, that's one of my favorite things from last year, Arcane. You must go watch that. That's like a big, if mystical thing that was on Netflix. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I like that they are actually teenagers from the name, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And
I have to say, going into this trailer fresh and not knowing anything about it, particularly Donatello, who's my favorite character, when I heard him speak, I got a real jolt of, wow, this is very young, very, very young, because he sounds like a kid, you know? It was an interesting choice, I think. Luke, what about yourself? I know you like turtles, Luke, don't you? I don't know if you've mentioned that before.
To say I like turtles. I like turtles. To say I like turtles would be an understatement. I love turtles, always have, always will. The comic book issue number 1 will always be a grail of mine. I really like turtles. There's no doubt about it. Yeah. I first saw the image that you had up on screen. I first saw that about 6 months ago, and I have to be honest, guys. When I first saw that image, I was mortified. I was like, "What the hell is this? What have they?" I was like the Godfather. Look how they massacred my boys.
Slightly dramatic, Luke, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
But do you know what? The trailer blew me away. I went in and my expectations, because I had already seen that image so many months prior, my expectations were so low, and I watched it and I really liked it. And I watched it about another 3 times afterwards. I really liked it. Yes.
Did you see the last animated Turtles movie that was out?
It depends which one it was.
2007?
Well, it's no. I think it's newer than
that. The theatrical one is 2007.
TMNT.
Yeah, the one from the cinemas. Yeah.
No, this is animated one. This is animated.
Yes, 2007.
TMNT.
Yeah. No, I'm sure this one's newer than that.
Simon, I was reading the Wikipedia page about.
Okay.
It's 2007. Okay.
Okay. Fuzzy, there's your argument. Well done. Yeah. We're how long into it?
Was there more to say?
No, I was just saying, how would you fit that one against this one?
Well, it all depends if it's the one that I think you're talking about. This trailer blew me away, and I was really excited to see it. I can't wait to go to the cinema and check this one out. This is a film that will probably get me back to the cinema to see. You mentioned about them being kids. I wonder, I don't know for certain, like I try not to look into these things because I like to be surprised, but I wonder if maybe this is just part of the movie where we're seeing like their first outing where they are that bit younger, because I know that Simon mentioned that they were teenagers, but they are very much like children at this point. I think maybe that's their first outing before they've yet learned to be the ninjas that they are. So we might have a little time jump within there somewhere. And the trailer might only be showing us that beginning part.
I don't think that's the case, because I feel
it might not be. It might not be. But either way,
for their older voices,
Yeah, that's true. Either way, it still thoroughly entertained me. It made me laugh out loud as well.
It's funny. That's why I like it. I've never really been that interested in Turtles, but I laughed at the trailer. So yeah.
When he got that scythe stuck in his leg,
exactly. Yeah,
I howled. It was so funny.
No, I thought it was tremendous. Just jumping into the chat there, guys. GP Venom is saying that the animation's meh. To be fair, GP, the first time I saw the Into the Spider-Verse trailer, I thought, oh, this looks a little bit rough. But actually, I'll give it a go. I think it intrigued us. Fuzzy saying people are. Did someone just break wind? What was that?
I think it was a chair crack.
Fuzzy saying people are wary because of Rogan. Yeah, I mean, I like some of these movies, but I have to say he does worry. He smashed Preacher. I didn't realize it was him that did Preacher.
Yep, yeah, he's a producer on that.
I'm not caught up with Preacher yet. I do need to get back to that and have a look.
Need to watch that. James, I just searched. There was the one I'm on about was on Netflix, and it was on 2020 to 2022. and it's called.
So why didn't you say the one from last year?
Fight.
I just say
I said theatrical, and you said which is the cinema.
Animated.
So Fuzzy's just asking, can we just check 2007 or not? I think the answer there, Fuzzy, is no one cares. Okay, guys. So in terms of Turtles, we are very, I think, optimistic. It looked interesting. It looked pretty cool. Looking forward to seeing that come off. So quite looking forward to that. Okay, guys. So this is a little bit of an interesting one. Just got a bit of a video just to play first.
Neighbors. Everybody needs good neighbors. That's when good neighbors become good friends.
So,
how long did it take you to do that?
So last week when we were talking, Dr. Von Hoot kind of,
amazing.
I don't know if he was drunk or what, but he spilled the guts that basically he's a lifelong fan of Neighbours, and he had some very interesting imagery behind him. Just a second, Rob, how are you doing, mate?
I'm doing great. That just reminded me of V from Vendetta there. It's everybody with the masks on, waiting for a whole army of them to march on Parliament.
So thank you very much for joining, Rob. Rob, just tell the guys who you are in case they aren't aware of your channel, please.
I'm just a fat man with a fat stack of comics and a fat opinion that gets to get on this thing called YouTube and speak to many people, just like many of you. Here I'm known as the Slab Guy. Mostly I'm the host of Only Slabs, which started off in its original incarnation as Slab Hub, which is a show that basically meets on with different collectors where we kind of go over their slabbed comic books in their collections and get to know them, as well as about the what's interesting to them in comics. Then I open up some boxes here and there.
Tremendous. And your show on a Saturday night is superb. I know Dr. Von Hoot's a big fan. I've watched it a number of occasions myself. There's some great slabs on there. We're just talking, Rob, because last week on the show, Dr. Von Hoot kind of unveiled his love for a show called Neighbours. Have you ever heard of Neighbours?
I have heard of it. I've never watched an episode, but I have heard of it.
You're probably lucky not to have watched an episode. But yeah, Dr. Von Hoot loved it. So it was a bit of a surprise to her because it came kind of out of nowhere, and it prompted us to kind of realize that we don't necessarily always know a great deal about each other. So what I want the panel to do is just have a little bit of a think and let one know something that perhaps you haven't talked about before in relation to your collecting habits, or something that a guilty pleasure that you may have, something along those lines. Dr. Von Hoot, you cannot use Neighbours again. Have you still got your picture behind you?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I do.
Let's have another look at it.
Oh, it's a classic.
I mean, yeah, I just don't know what to say.
Dr. Darcy under a waterfall. Come
It's
on.
a little bit thirsty, don't you think?
Yeah.
It doesn't even look like Dr. Darcy, but
it's to Jan. I'm not sure who Jan is, but
okay, guys. So Luke, now you cannot say Spider-Man, right?
No, and you know what? This is really difficult because I've always considered myself to be quite an open book. I announce everything. I wear my channel says "Let your geek flag fly." I wear it all with pride. Everyone knows I love musicals. I am a big Disney fan. People know all this stuff about me. There's not really much that I've got hidden.
I mean, on a show last night, you did announce that you would happily eat people. I mean, that was a
but again, I say that out loud as well.
That's true. That is true.
I don't shy away from any of it.
We found out.
Come back to me. Let me have a bit more of a think.
Okay. Tell you what, guys, we'll come back to that one. Have a think about it, and we'll come back to it in a bit. In the meantime, we'll have a chat about this. So
yes.
Oh, someone's excited. So we've got John Bernthal returning to the Punisher. Return as the Punisher in Daredevil Born Again. Now, I've only recently watched the full 2 seasons of the Punisher, which I have to say is absolutely phenomenal, beyond belief. Are you all familiar with the show? Have you all seen it?
Yep.
Yeah. How ecstatic or happy are you with this, or would you rather he stayed kind of in those 2 seasons and didn't come back to Daredevil.
I'm concerned.
You're always concerned. What are you concerned about, Luke?
I'm concerned that the Punisher has such a dark story, and it's so heavily, gun based, and obviously now being over with Disney and what they might do with said character. We don't. This isn't going to be the same character that we had. Even the Daredevil and Kingpin aren't the same characters. There's going to be something different here. So it all depends how they handle it. I'm concerned, but it's too soon to tell.
Because the beefed the Kingpin up, didn't it, in the Hawkeye show?
He looks very cartoony now. Like he's not as realistic, as it were.
Yeah, I mean, but I have to say that John's performance is phenomenal, and I hear what you're saying. They might try and dumb it down, but we've seen some pretty graphic stuff in some of the Disney Plus shows. We might not get that level of violence, but
I'd be shocked if they did the action in the style that they did in that Netflix series. But there is a middle ground, so it still could be really cool. Like the Werewolf by Night stuff was actually quite violent for Marvel, and took me aback a bit.
Oh, tremendous!
If they can get away with that level of violence, except have a little bit of claret, it'd be quite watchable. And I'm a massive fan of Shane from The Walking Dead, so like it's I'm just happy to have him back as Frank because he's wicked. And that show is on Netflix. The Daredevil season 2 where he debuts. All his stuff in that season is amazing, and all the stuff with Elektra is rubbish. So it's like you can selectively watch it and watch a phenomenal series in about half the time.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. What about yourself, Rob? Are you excited to have him come back into Daredevil?
I'm not a Daredevil guy. I mean, I enjoyed the Netflix series-ish. I felt that every single one, I liked the season 1 especially, but I found that almost every single one of the Netflix Marvel series suffered from the same issue, and is that they could have been about half as many episodes. It just suffered from a lot of hammocking. Like, I got 2 posts, and I'm going to draw out the middle, and it could have been cleaned up a lot. And as long as they don't do that, they can keep some better pacing.
Well,
but
I'm afraid to say.
But Disney hasn't shown that could be the case with their Star Wars properties now either. So
I was going to say, I'm afraid to say, I'm sure Daredevil did they release the episodes count, and it was quite significant from memory.
22 or 28 or
22,
something like that.
Wow, that's a proper season.
It's running for like half of a year, like it's going to be on. Basically.
Unlike the traditional online 8-episode.
There might be like a mid-season break or something.
Well, even
like
still,
that's
that's network TV. U.S. network TV would be normally 20 to 24 episodes, 26 episodes.
I think it was longer than 22. I think it was like 26 or something. Like
it depends if they do stick to the episodic format. I think it would be okay. My biggest concern with what they've been doing currently is that they're taking properties that should be a movie. They're putting them as a TV show and fleshing them out, and it's not working. So as long as they're actually doing it episodic, and there is like an individual story each episode, along with maybe an overarching story.
Yeah, you can have the serial theme, or in the case of that long, hopefully maybe even multiple serial themes that play out over multiple episodes. Absolutely, but
that never occurred to me at all that it might be a procedural, which it could be. I mean, he's a lawyer and he's Daredevil could be.
It might be we were going to get with She-Hulk, but we didn't.
It might literally be one episode.
Like She-Hulk. What do you think about because there's been a lot of controversy, hasn't there, about the skull emblem, and in the comics they've changed that. We don't think they're going to change that in the TV show, do we? We'll see a traditional.
Anything can happen.
It might have a Mickey Mouse logo.
I'll be entertained.
John Bernthal though was like, I wanted John Bernthal as Punisher before they even announced Punisher was going to be in the MCU or that casting had happened. So I'm I didn't like being in that gray area of, if I was fairly sure he was going to, but I didn't know. So I'm happy. It's like, okay, he's coming back. He's gonna have. I put money the white gloves with the white boots,
Oh,
like
I love
proper
that.
comic book
Imagine
accurate
the full
costume,
costume,
you know,
yeah.
with like a, you know, maybe a brown
And
trench coat on it or something. It's gonna look
It's
awesome.
interesting. There
Can't
was
wait.
a quote from him. I think it was last year he made the quote. I can't remember the exact wording, but he basically said that he was only interested in doing Punisher if it was in line with the comics and what the fans want. He wasn't interested in kind of dumbing it down in any way. Now
Yeah.
that I guess might change depending on how much money they throw his way. But that gives us a bit of confidence that if he's signed up to come back, maybe he's a bit more confident that Disney are going to do it properly.
He's definitely a fan of the character, like you can tell that, and he's done his research and he understands. So I think I would agree. The fact he signed on is a good indication.
It's encouraging, but ultimately the amount of power that an actor has is not that great.
Yeah.
I mean,
what about yourself, Efren?
Dare you, Dr. Von Hood? I can't believe you said that.
I think the jury's still out, you know, because I just keep on thinking this show should have been on Netflix instead. I think it would have been better served than Disney Plus. I'm sorry, I don't think it's going to be as graphic and violent as the Netflix series. I read yesterday that the actors who portray Foggy Nelson and Karen Page are not going to be in this show.
So I was never a fan of Foggy in
really,
that show.
I think they help him out, you know.
I think Karen cast was just as good.
Karen was fantastic. Like, I think it's a shame Deborah Ann Wool's not going to be back. Well, we don't know. Like, they might just not be in it at all.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, we'll see. I mean, the jury's still out until episode 1 to see, or when the Punisher shows up. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
We want Vanessa Fisk back in there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there were some incredible scenes. Phil's just saying that he'd love to see the Netflix characters return. Yeah, I enjoyed the Netflix universe. I completely agree with Rob Mind. I think some of them, it felt very stretched out. I was a big fan of. They didn't call it Alias. Yeah, Jessica Jones. They called it Jessica Jones, didn't they? But some of them seasons felt like they just went on and on and on. You know?
I feel like she'll be back though. Like, I think
well,
she's the only other one I'm certain will be back. Like the other two, Mike Coulter is a maybe, and I hope in hell is the Iron Fist actor Finn Jones. He's definitely not going to be back. So
that one I wouldn't see. But the Power Man especially was just like really drawn out. It was just like
and it kind of distilled the story to the point where it was almost unwatchable at times, because I know
he was phenomenal in it, to be fair.
As an actor he was amazing, and I would happily have him back. Fuzzy Dunlop saying he's watched the premise on Disney Plus and the episode on grief and gun violence is an acting masterclass. I've not seen that one, Fuzzy. I'll go and check that one out.
For violence though, like, you know, Deadpool 3 is going to be R-rated. Werewolf by Night was fairly graphic. Like, we might get this one might be like a 16s, 16s. Like, you know,
I think the fight scenes have to be realistic, you know, for it to succeed.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, it's going to be a bit more comic booky though. We're probably going to get the big Russian, you know, that kind of stuff.
Do you think though, like Efren said, I think it would have been better with Netflix still, because I feel Disney and Amazon, they just dub down things.
Oh, I don't know about Amazon. I think, you know, in terms of crikey, can you imagine a Punisher on Amazon with the level
I
of
just
the
read
boys?
something today that Henry Cavill doing his Warhammer stuff, he's struggling already with Amazon.
Oh, really?
They want to dub it down like they did the Lord of the Rings. So
that would be a shame.
Yeah, but then you look at something like Incredible and The Boys. I mean, The Boys is Amazon, isn't it?
Yeah. Phenomenal. This is an interesting comment from Ian Carter. It's not very often we get anybody praising Iron Fist on any of the shows.
I think season 2, he's better into the Defenders, and season 2 is definitely an improvement. But I just think he was miscast; like, he wasn't the right actor for it. And at the time, I remember I wanted Nation. I thought Nation actor would have been would have been a better take on it, you know, as well, for a bit of diversity in that.
Yeah,
it's also just not a very good show either. He's not well cast, and it's not very good. So hard all round.
I mean, he's not a massively popular comic character either, really, is he?
I had nothing that brought me into him to begin with, because I really don't. It was like, I'm watching it because I feel obligated because I'm watching these others, and I know they're going to do this Defenders thing, but that's not my Defenders, and it's not and I'm not an Iron Fist guy, so.
Yeah, I was exactly the same. I mean, sadly, that was the one shot I fell
sort of better than Iron Fist now, I think.
Yeah,
you know,
Heroes for Shang-Chi since Shang-Chi, so like, who knows if that's going to happen again?
Heroes for Hire though is a Marvel special presentation waiting to happen. I feel.
Absolutely, James. I mean, we talked about that last week when we were talking about what we'd like to see as these special presentations. I think you're right. Heroes for hire, street level kind of heroes would work very, very well. I'd like that a lot. Okay, guys, interesting stuff. We're going to move on to a new segment now, and I'm going to test your comic book knowledge.
Guess my key.
Wow, that was
That's
loud.
a bit loud.
That was loud, wasn't it? Cranky.
Yeah.
That's because my
Jesus.
hearing aid was turned down. Okay, guys. So, as you know, I've got a box of keys. Well, I've got a few boxes of keys, and I've gone through it and I've tried to find some slightly obscure ones, some not so obscure ones, but all that I just want to have a bit of a chat about as we'll go on. All right. So, first one will show up. Like I said, just shout up when you know what it is. James, how do I make it so I'm on one side and everybody's at the other side?
It's to the left here. Hang on, this one. So.
Okay, so this one's fairly straightforward, fairly easy, but it's an amazing book.
Oh, I know.
Anybody else know?
You just shout it out. It's Cosmic Ghost Rider.
Yeah, Cosmic Ghost Rider. You guys familiar with that character?
Yeah.
Yep.
No.
So, James, how do I get off that?
Yeah, there you go. You're back on.
No, so it's just everybody again.
Yeah, to the.
There we go.
Yes,
Okay, guys. So yeah, so Cosmic Ghost Rider. Who's been reading any of the Cosmic Ghost Rider stuff?
I've read that, and then I've read the Cosmic Ghost Rider that came out shortly after it, but I haven't read the newest, the latest.
So this is an amazing series. So Thanos, this is part of the Thanos series that was out a while ago. It's part of a storyline called Thanos Wins, which introduces us to a future where Thanos basically has won. And there are some absolutely amazing scenes in it. I know Phil from Phil's Nerdiverse, from the Nerd Herd, is in the chat. Phil, you've got to read Thanos Wins as part of the Nerdiverse. But it introduces what a Cosmic Ghost Rider. So spoilers, Cosmic Ghost Rider is basically Frank Castle, thousands, billions of years in the future, whatever, who's now got he's a herald of Galactus initially. And he's got all kinds of great abilities, but he's an amazing character. New series just came out earlier this week. Well worth picking up. Please do go and check that one out. But in terms of keys, guys, this is the one I would recommend trying to pick up. I don't tend to kind of push comics, but I think Cosmic Ghost Rider's got wheels. I think
so. Not bragging, because I didn't do it on purpose. I've actually got 3 copies of this, and it was only because I was trying to upgrade. The first one I got was in really poor condition, but I got it for an absolute steal. I paid like pennies for it. Yeah. And then I got another one, but it got damaged in the post. And so I was upset then again. And then I managed to get a copy, which I've managed to keep and have nice. So I do have 3 of them. But it's a fantastic book. Every single one of those parts, because it's an 18-part series, I have every variant, whether it be just a second print or a virgin cover or anything. There are some amazing covers for that. Yeah,
it's a phenomenal series. Rob, you read the
variant for it?
Oh, you're going to expose my my credentials as false, man. I don't really read that many comics, and that's the truth. I collect a lot, and I read very little, mostly because reading is difficult for me. But it is easier in graphic form than books. But I tend not to branch out much beyond my core. I read Spider-Man and curse myself for it all the time.
I was going to say that's a shame.
Yeah, it really is, because I've hated what's gone on in Spider-Man since like issue 380 for the most part, right? And
Hallows Eve was good, mind. I've read that recently. That was pretty good.
There's bits and pieces that are here and there good, but really since volume 1, Spider-Man has been utter rubbish. And Batman I read. And I read Star Wars. Those are like my big 3. Yeah. And then the other once in a while I pick up other weird stuff.
I think, Rob, to be perfectly honest, I think you're very similar to a lot of people. So myself, and I know some of the guys in the panel here, I read comics back in my youth, got a big collection back in the day and sold them. I pick up keys now and I pick up CGCs and all the rest of it, but I read either in trade paperback format normally or digitally. I don't read much monthly at all anymore because, and me and Efren talk about this a lot, I'll be honest with you, I just think a lot of it's crap. A lot of it's just rubbish. You know, the independent sector's got some great books, but a lot of your Marvel and your DC standard monthlies, I just kind of.
And certain characters just never appealed. I mean, like certain characters, it's weird. It's like I have characters like in DC world, there's characters that appeal to me when I watch them in the movies or something, or growing up like Superman. I have a big connection to Superman on TV and in the movies growing up. But I barely have ever read a Superman comic in my life, and I'm not interested in reading a Superman comic book. Vice versa, you know, there are certain things I love reading and I don't care to watch, you know. And I take certain things in different ways. And Ghost Rider, not a character that I'm. Thanos, you know, it's like he's interesting here in the movie, sure, but I mean,
yeah.
So yeah.
In the comic books, he gets arrested by the police, doesn't he? He's not all that powerful.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Okay, next one's a bit more of a deep cut, so we'll see if you know this one. James.
Sorry, boss. Sleeping on the job there.
What do I pay you for, James? What
there you go. Sleeping on the job.
Yeah. So this one's a bit of an odd one. This really is a deep cut. So this is Marvel Comics presents Cyclops, issue 19.
No
Any
idea.
ideas what this one is? Like I say, my collecting habits are a bit bizarre.
Is it
So
to do with the Sentinels, since it's got Master Mold on there.
no, but it's a good
Okay.
guess. It's a nice guess, but it's wrong. No, this is the first ever appearance of Damage Control. So
okay.
again, we talked a little bit last week about, like I said, Marvel special features and things like that. I think you can have a bit of fun with the Damage Control series. So they were in a couple of Marvel movies, or in the Spider-Man movies, weren't they? Where they were clearing up the Avengers kind of site and things like that.
There was discussion of a Damage Control series at one
I
point.
believe a pilot was filmed and everything.
I know
All right.
DC did a variant.
Powerless, they did.
Powerless, right?
Yeah, that didn't go anywhere, did it? It kind of fell flat.
Yeah.
Even
Damage Control show, I think it was when it was on ABC, it was like an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of style. Like it was supposed to be like, I think they were doing it like The Office.
It was very much a comedy in the way that it was done. I mean,
So you'd have
Alan Tudyk is like Bruce Wayne's cousin or something, running this weird division of Wayne Enterprises.
I mean, but Damage Control in terms of the comic series is a really good series. I don't know if anybody's read it, but it is very much played for laughs, but it is an entertaining series. It's well worth picking up. And that's something I think, like I say, would make a good Marvel special feature. Next one, some of my favorite characters. So I'm going to show you the kind of the first cameo. It's a last page full appearance, and then the issue after has the full appearance. Anybody know who these guys?
Apologies.
The Champions. Isn't it the first Champions? No, not the first Champions. What was the name of that group with Nova and?
Yes, you've got it, Efren.
Yeah, Champions.
No, the New Warriors.
New Warriors, yeah.
So
Speedball.
Yeah, we've got Speedball, Night Thrasher, Marvel Boy, who's a character I mentioned in one of our top 5 mutants, Namorita, Firestar, and Nova. Anybody read the New Warriors back in the day?
I did. I used to read it.
Fantastic series.
I give away copies of New Warriors #1 and those characters out of my box like on a weekly basis, practically, it seems like.
Yeah. I mean, they are some great characters, and I'd love to see them appear in the MCU. I can't remember. Someone remind us. But Black Panther, the Wakanda Forever, did they name the female Atlantean in that as Namorita?
Well, there's Namora and Namorita.
Yeah, it was Namor.
They're so different. Coming up with names is hard. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, an amazing series, well worth picking up, guys, if you get a chance. And I mean, that first run of New Warriors, that's what made me fall in love with Marvel Boy and Night Thrasher in particular, and Nova. That was kind of so Nova's regular series died a bit of a death, and then he came back in New Warriors, and that preceded him getting his relaunch, which I know James, you've read the kind of the cosmic stuff. by what you call it? I can't remember the writer.
The
Guardians run, you read.
Yeah, Asbit.
I can't remember. Yeah, but yeah, it kind of relaunched him, and he was superb in that.
Yeah.
Next one, guys. This is an interesting one in terms of coming up MCU TV series that we've heard of. Anybody know what this one?
I remember everyone being after this book, but I can't remember why.
I mean, stunning cover. I love that.
I actually sold my copy of it because of it, and I still can't remember which character it was.
I mean, I love that cover, but it's got the first appearance of a character, and it's the first mention of an organization.
Magic? Oh
no.
Negasonic?
No, I wish. No, I haven't got. I don't know if she's been in the comics or not. No, so this is the first appearance, the first full appearance of Abigail Brand, and of Sword, which is the equivalent of Shield.
Yeah.
Rumored to appear in the Secret Invasion series.
Well, they were in WandaVision, so that would continue.
That's right. That's right. I was mentioning
Nick Fury's working for it.
Yeah. So again, another nice book to have. Last one, chaps, and this is one of my favourites. Anybody know whose first appearance that is?
Can't see it.
Ape Sapien?
No.
You've got Hellboy in there, haven't you? So.
Yeah.
Don't tell us yet. Let's have a think.
DHP.
So this is.
Is it a Hellboy character?
No. Annual 1998. First comic book appearance of someone I love.
You do love a lot of characters.
Let's say Buffy the Vampire Slayer on there.
Well done. Yes, that's right. This is
he read the book.
The first comic book appearance of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Now, anybody a Buffy fan?
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. There was talk a while ago of a kind of a reboot, wasn't there? How do you feel about that? Because I know Michelle Gellar said she's not interested in coming back in any kind of way. I'd love to see another stab at Buffy, as it were.
Yeah, why not?
I think enough time has passed now. It can be for another generation. The thing is, with these reboots, right? I've said this before. We will always still have the originals. No one's taking that away. Yeah. So even if it comes and it fails, it doesn't matter.
The teenage witch.
That's what I was just about to say. I think like you can reinvent Sabrina, you can reinvent Buffy as well. You know.
And Sabrina was actually pretty cool. Actually,
great, fantastic. Yeah.
Can I do one, Pete? One of the kids.
Yes, of course you can. Of course you can.
Can you make me large?
I don't know.
Depends what you're into.
I know how to do this. And we just
got it, James. I'm done, man.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah. So yeah, I've got a first appearance as well.
Oh, I see what you're doing here, Von.
Yeah,
I know your tricks.
Anybody want to guess the first appearance of this?
Is it a Neighbours character?
It's not. No.
Are you actually in it, or did you have something to do with making it?
I'm on it. I'm on the back cover because I made it. Oh, there we go.
Oh, nice
one.
The first appearance of Dr. Von Who on a cover. There you go.
Well, I would never have guessed.
I mean, that there is a collector's item. I'll have to get myself a copy of that. Is that through the comic book dealer?
It was, yeah. They're extremely limited. I've got 30 copies of the Raws, and I've got 8 metals.
Yeah. Do you know what? Has anybody else got a metal cover? No. This sounds really stupid. Anybody got? Rob,
that's
you got
the first one I've ever seen.
So I bought a metal cover off this comic book dealer, and I don't know why, but I was very surprised when it arrived and the cover was metal. I don't know why. I just thought it was going to be, do you know, like you get and take your cover. And it's literally a sheet of bloody metal stuck to the front of the book. I don't know why that surprises, but it did. Big
hard. They're a heck of a deal to try to press out any wrinkles, though.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. Big Stacks in Angel TV show was really good. Absolutely great, mate. It was a stunning show. I thought there was some superb episodes in that. In fact, I'd go as far as to say I quite liked Angel better than Buffy at one point.
I did too, yeah.
Yeah, it was superb. Fuzzy, hang your head in shame, mate. Never seen an episode of Buffy. I think you would like Buffy, Fuzzy.
Fuzzy, I'm
Yeah.
with you, brother.
You never seen it either.
I didn't watch that as when I was Buffy and Angel were what in the 90s?
90s,
late 90s.
yeah.
I was doing things like I was married and like starting to have kids and stuff, and having to pay attention to them and stuff because they were still young. I couldn't just they didn't just feed themselves. So I wasn't. I mean, it took me 10 years before I got around to watching Firefly. It was 10 years, So people used to tell me the same thing, like, "Well, you just watch it." And I said, "Hey, I still got new episodes."
But Firefly is just
Buffy for me was literally when I realized I liked girls.
It was. I was already past that, so
yeah. Well, I have to say, Sarah Michelle Gellar was certainly. Let's just leave that. Emmons World of Geek. I like the Buffy movie. Oh no, mate, the Buffy movie. Well, it started. So the Buffy movie was very, very different to the Buffy TV series.
Oh yeah, I mean, I remember I saw the movie. I remember that a long time ago, but I knew the show was very different. But
Fuzzy Cindy was busy breaking laws and chasing women. Yeah, right.
Allegedly.
And Phil, hot take. I didn't like Firefly. Phil, you're barred. Get out. Spike was his favorite. Yeah, Spike's is superb. He does a lot of UK cons.
But we were at Liverpool Comic-Con, and he had the biggest queue of anybody. I think like it was we were nearly stampeded going past his panel room.
He was also he played Brainiac in Smallville.
I
loved Smallville.
He's in a few DC things, I think.
Smallville hasn't aged as well, though. I went back to watch it. It's nowhere near as good. Buffy, you could still watch now, and it's still good.
No, I loved Smallville. It's one of my favorites.
Peter, just to go back to those comic books, because they're first appearances, but the character doesn't appear on the cover. How do you feel about that?
Doesn't bother us in the slightest.
Doesn't bother you at all. You're just happy to have the first appearance. Because I know a lot of people, like myself included, sometimes I would buy the issue 1 of said character, especially if I want it on display, because I like having the character on the front.
Yeah.
I just wondered what everyone else's thoughts were.
It's a bit like your Spider-Man 2099. Is not on the front cover, but
it's always a nice.
Spider-Man 2099 is on the first appearance cover because you can't count the preview. The preview's not that's 6 pages from the original. That's only a partial printing of the original, the actual comic. That's a preview. That's like watching. That's like saying Miles Morales' first appearances from previews.
Yeah, some people argue that, don't they? Yeah, that preview went up. Yeah, it was.
But the real people just get both, or all three. You get the cameo.
That's sort of what I think.
Easy money bags,
like appearance, and you get the cover appearance, and you have the hat.
But Rob, we go one step forward further. We get all of those, and we get the UK reprint version.
We like to make sense of pence.
I would have liked to have seen a Rogue on the cover of Avengers number 10. I mean, that's a big omission.
That's a horrible.
I have that, and it's not good at all.
I love that cover so much.
I will let you know that when I picked up my first appearance of Union Jack, I made sure I got the UK pricing variant to go along with that. So there you go.
I've gone down a bit of a Union Jack rabbit hole because I've picked up a lot of his stuff because I love his work. I'm just looking behind you, Rob. You've got the first appearance of Boba Fett there, haven't you?
Yeah, that one's up there. There's some Venoms for first Harley Quinn. There's the Spider-Man 2099 Toy Biz reprint that came with the package. Miles Morales, first Batgirl, first Gwen Stacy, first Scorpion, first
Scarecrow,
Titans, Silver Age Scarecrow.
Cool.
There's all kinds. Of first Adam Strange, first Space Ranger. So up higher off the wall, there's there's more Golden Age books that go up higher too. That go into the there's some
famous funnies.
Some Buck Rogers, some Shadow Beetle. So
very cool, very nice wall. I was asking about the Boba Fett because I've got the UK. I just picked it up a couple of weeks back. I've got the UK print of that.
If
Yeah,
only there was
of course, that
somewhere
would
where
be
you
that
could
would be
throw that
the
off, Peter.
first. That's the first appearance in comic book format
Yeah.
because it's actually a reprint from the magazine, right?
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff. Some nice books there. Nice books.
It's a small sampling. There's some 900 and something other slabs on the other side of the wall.
Wow. Just a few. Ephraim, how does that rate it? Because Ephraim's kind of our go-to guy for slabs.
I don't have 900 slabs. I don't know how many I have. I know I have them in the hundreds. I've never really counted them.
I'm struggling to keep it under 1,000 right now.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's because I had to pull some more out of the boxes to go to the sales tab. I'm not counting ones that are listed for sale somewhere. Otherwise, I might have just crossed the 1,000 mark the other day.
That feels like a bit of a get out, that mind, Rob, I have to say.
I'll count mine and I'll let you guys know.
Good stuff.
I'm pretty sure Mrs. Von Hoot's really worried that Rob's just me from the future. Like,
Yeah.
thousands of slabs.
She should be so lucky.
Good stuff. Okay, guys. So moving on, let's talk a little bit about horror. So, Rob, are you a horror fan?
Can't say that I am a fan of modern horror now.
Okay. Have you watched the Scream movies?
I saw the first one because Drew Barrymore was in it, and I'll watch anything that woman is in.
Yeah, superb. James, why don't you just take us through these movies a little bit before we get on to the next one? We'll just have a bit of a general canter about the kind of the storyline so far.
Yeah, so the original Scream released in, I think, 1996, directed by Wes Craven. Easily one of the best horror films of all time. Was kind of refreshing at the time. It was sort of horror was sort of on the decline at that stage, and it kind of reinvigorated the slasher genre in particular, and kind of every movie that followed for the next 5 years kind of aped it. Like I Know What You Did Last Summer, or the Halloween movie at the time that came out. So yeah, that's the kind of original, and then we got the following year Scream 2, kind of a play on sequels, Scream 3, play on trilogies. And then there was nothing for 10 years. Scream 4 came along. Sort of about remakes. It's kind of the riff on that. And then again, nothing for the next 10 years. Wes Craven unfortunately passed away during that time. And then we got from the directors of Ready or Not, Scream 5, or just Scream. And it's kind of a take on like elevated horror.
Ready or Not, I forgot about that. I love that.
Yeah.
That was a really cool film. So the rest of you chaps, have you guys seen the Scream movies? I know, Luke, you're a big horror fan. Dr. Von Hoot, I know you love your horror. Do you like the Scream franchise?
I like 1 and 2, and then I saw number 3. Thought this is absolute rubbish, and never watched another one since.
Fair enough. So you've not seen the latest one that I take it?
No.
Good stuff. What about you, Von Hoot?
Yeah, Scream was one of my favorite films growing up. I watched it. I'd rent it from the dodgy off license that would let me rent 18s when I was 15.
Yeah.
And I used to watch it on repeat. I loved that film so much that it's got to the point where I can't really watch it anymore because I know it too well. I've sort of killed it a little bit. So it has to be really long periods of time, but I know like the dialogue and everything. Two is good. First time I watched that, incidentally, was on a pirate tape. Don't do that, kids. It's not all right. But yeah, it's two like slasher fans tend to really love 2, whereas I just think it's all right. It's fine. It's serviceable.
It had Sarah Michelle Gellar in it.
Yeah,
it did.
Yeah. 3
but she's no Drew Barrymore.
That's also true. 3 is terrible. Let's be honest. I mean, it has its moments.
Terrible is a bit harsh, I think.
I mean, I watched it recently, and it's really not good.
Is that the one set in Hollywood? Is that the one?
Yeah,
yeah. It's terrible.
4, I think, is really, really underrated. I think 4 is probably the best of the sequels, honestly. But nobody else seems to think that. I just think it's awesome. 5 is it's sort of fun, but sort of not very good. Like I don't. It's hard to explain that one. Like I like it, but
would you say it's derivative?
It is a smidge, which will lead us to 6.
Efren, you're not a horror man, are you? Have you seen any of the Scream movies?
I'm just like Luke. I've seen like the first 2 of them. I haven't seen them since then. But to me, they're not. To me, horror movies have to do more like with demonic creatures that scare the crap out of me. You know, this type of horror movies is almost like a little bit has more levity, if you ask me. You know, I wasn't scared of it.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. So I went to see the double feature on Wednesday night, and I know James did as well. Now, the last time me and James, by the way, is a very Scream, almost obsessive, I would say. He gets
Absolutely,
he gets very defensive. So yeah.
No, I think if we can have a civil.
knows-
You hang on. If I remember correctly, Peter, I tried to begin a civil discussion about why you didn't like Scream, and you said, "Oh, this isn't your show, so we're moving on now." Huh? I believe it's my turn to talk, James.
I may have.
So you rewatched it.
Yeah. So I saw number 5 was the last one. Yeah. Not the one we've just seen.
Yes.
So I saw number 5, and I was quite critical of it. So I saw it again before this other one on the double feature, and I have to say I completely changed my mind. So I think Scream 5 for me suffered for the exact same issues I had with Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness, in that I went in with such high expectations and thinking I knew what I wanted to see in terms of an outcome and all the rest of it, and it didn't deliver at all. So it soured my viewing on first watch. On second watch, I thought it was great because I didn't have that expectation. So I went in with a much more open mind. And then we went on to the next one, Scream 6. So we're not going to give spoilers at the moment, but Scream 6, Dr. Von Hoot, let us know, what did you think of Scream 6?
I will preface this with saying I have to my left around 500 slasher movies on Blu-ray. I love slasher movies. It's one of my things. And I thought Scream 6 was a effing terrible slasher movie. Like it's just really, really poor attempt. There's more or less no horror to it. Like there's no tension building or anything. There's
James is gonna cry.
I'm in shock right now.
It's really, really not good. I had lots and lots of thoughts on it as well. I don't know. I will watch it again because I am a completist and I'm obsessed with slasher movies. So I'll watch it probably at least another 3 times, I would think.
Yeah.
Even though I'm pretty sure it's not going to get better the more I watched it. It reminded me of the Fast and the Furious, weirdly, and the later Saw movies. Like it's that contrived and just like there's some astonishingly bad acting too. But I mean that happens always in slasher movies, so that's fine. But yeah, I didn't like it.
Oh, did you not? Oh, I didn't get that from what you were saying. So before we go to the absolute polar opposite, and James, no doubt, I'll say what I think. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was a great movie. I hear what you're saying about the elements of horror. I think there were some pretty good kills, mind. There were some decent ones. Not spoil it. I thought there were some good kills and a lot of elements of it. My biggest problem with it, and I'm going to sound very political here, was that I think it gives a bad impression for knife crime. So there were some individuals in that movie that were stabbed 15, 16 times and just kind of got up and which I thought was a bit disappointing. I think if someone's stabbed, I want to see them die. Does that make it sound wrong?
Did anybody die?
I don't. That's your version on spoilers there, Mr. Hoot.
It was close, but not quite.
James, what did you think?
So just before I talk about the new one for the rest of the series, like I'm a diehard fan of the series. I have a huge amount of nostalgia for that first movie. I watched it with my dad as a kid. You know, when my mom would go to bed, we'd stick on a Scream movie together. You know, so I love that one. 2 was for a long time my favorite. I think the scariest movie in the series still. 3 definitely dip in quality. 4 I was absolutely stoked for at the time. Got to see in the cinemas and loved it. And then 5 I think was like really a proper return to form for the series, and like I thought was absolutely incredible. I love the the twist that it's sort of like a toxic fandom is kind of what they're kind of doing a play on, which I thought was brilliant. I absolutely love this one. I thought it was fantastic. There's a lot of really great surprises in it. I think it I think it was one of the best openings in the entire franchise.
Yeah,
by a mile.
superb.
By a mile. We'll get to it. We'll get to it in spoilers, where we'll explain specifically why I think that. I think some really good kills. I think it's really great tense moments. Just to name a couple there in the trailer, like that supermarket sequence, where he has a shotgun, which is like all right. Guns aren't supposed to be scary.
That's a spoiler.
It is scary.
And also,
it's not. It's in the trailer.
Slashers do not fire guns, so it automatically gets deducted a point for firing a gun.
No, but that's why it's
not cool.
That's why it's unexpected and it feels fresh. Like, this is something we've not really seen in this.
Not cool.
In this,
you can use a gun as a weapon that you stab through somebody or something.
But they always use guns.
If they use the gun with bayonets fixed, it's okay
exactly.
then.
I thought it added a new element to like a traditional Ghostface kind of hiding sequence, and I thought that was fantastic.
I must admit, I didn't receive the briefing about what weapons were and weren't allowed, so I quite like the shotgun bit. I
thought it was one of my favorite sequences.
The scene was really good.
As someone who hasn't seen a lot of the movies, when we add them up, can I just point out as well that the reason why the first one was so good was because of when it came out. It very much was the era of the mobile phone becoming very mainstream, and the idea that someone could be calling you in your own home, from a line that wasn't connected. That's what added the fear and the suspense for this movie. It was all very new in the world that we were living in at the time. As the years have gone on, we're getting more sequels, but that hasn't changed. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's become very.
Well, no, I think like the last movie, for example, like social media is very much in the fourth one. Like the fourth one's kind of separated on both sides by 10 years, so it's very kind of unique placement there. In terms of like where horror movies were at the time, but like social media and live streaming is kind of like and the element that they incorporate into that. And then the last one had like kind of Alexa was almost like an element. Like there's in the opening sequence, she's trying to lock her front doors with an app, and it keeps reopening. So there is like always a new kind of modern thing. Like the first three are a year apart, if not less, and these two are a year apart. But like. Within those groups,
who has an app that can lock and unlock my front door.
Yeah. Where could they go next with it, though?
Sorry, just a Fuzzy's comment there. I have the same disdain, Fuzzy. I think that's tremendous. Just before we move on, then let's just put a spoiler banner up. So we will be talking some spoilers for Scream. So if you don't want to hear, stick your fingers in your ears for just a couple of minutes. Because James has said something interesting there. I just want to mention.
Right. We'll stick up a timer, will we? 5 minutes, and we'll see where we're at.
Yeah, guys. Anybody in the panel not want any spoilers?
Yeah, I don't care.
You can just mute us for 5 minutes if you want to, and we'll stick up a 5 minute timer.
So James, you mentioned there about them being surprises and things, and I think Von Hoot mentioned briefly kind of not being surprised by some stuff. I have to say, as much as I did enjoy it, I turned to my wife at the scene where the police officer's daughter runs out covered in blood. I turned to my wife and said, she's the killer, the policeman's her dad.
What's her really?
I got it all. The only bit I didn't see, because I said they're going to be related to the guy from the last movie, was the young lad with the bouffant hair.
Yeah, I never suspected him because he's all of them suspect him. Like they suspect him so much, they're like, you're not going anywhere. So I was like, it must not be him. I did take the roommate, the daughter one, her death as like I took that at face value that she was actually dead. So that was a big surprise to me as well. As soon as Dermot Mulroney was cast, I was like, he's probably going to be Ghostface in this, and I kind of always kind of suspected him, and especially when he starts looking into like Kirby and investigating her, I'm like, it's not going to be like. I think if it was Kirby, it'd be interesting because I think I like that idea of it being a former victim.
I didn't remember Kirby at all, I have to say.
She's in the fourth movie, so she's only in one of them. So that's probably why, like, if you only watched it once a few years ago.
I'm conscious that the rest of the guys haven't seen it, and I know we could talk for hours on it, James, so we might end up doing a separate show just going over Scream. Is there anything in particular you want to point out, or Dr. Von Hood, anything you want to point out about it before we move on?
Well, the opening.
The
opening was a really interesting idea, not very well done, like, in my opinion. Like, it wasn't very tense or anything. I really don't want to spoil this bit. That's
But we're on spoilers. So
I
like,
know,
guys
but,
can mute us if they want to. We have 3 minutes.
Like, I really enjoyed it when they revealed the killer straight away. Like, I thought that was really, like, I was not expecting that, and I thought, oh, we're doing something interesting here, and then we did nothing interesting for the rest of the
I agree. I mean, I thought that was, I thought that we were going to keep with known who the baddie was.
Yeah, well, that's
the movie.
I think Scream has kind of needed a bit of a shake-up, and some ideas I've thought of have been like, one of the killers dies halfway through, and we don't know who the other one is, or something like that. But the concept of like us following like Ghostface being the main character and knowing who he is, like, for the whole movie, it's almost a bit like Knives Out, where you're going in thinking it's a traditional kind of whodunit, and it's not really that way. So I was really on board with that at the beginning. But then I love how that like morphs from that to a regular kind of Scream opening sequence, and it's like a Ghostface killing two guys who want to also be Ghostface. Like, I thought that was absolutely brilliant.
It was fun, but
Very
again, not very tense, and like,
no, it was more just the shock of him pulling the mask off. It's like, oh, this is not like, and it adds sort of an unpredictability to the rest of the movie, I feel, as well.
Modern movies that deliver without the artistry, stuff like that. They just deliver a formula.
Yeah.
Rob, last week we were talking a lot about horror movies. What I asked the guys in the panel what their favorite horror movie is. What's yours? What would be your go-to horror?
I'm a classic horror guy. I'm MGM Monsters type classic, golden age movie monster era movie monster type stuff for me. That's my that, and maybe some, some of the sci-fi stuff like Aliens and stuff like that would be something more my cup of tea when it comes to it.
Don't you find this movie, James, this whole series, don't you find it repetitive? I mean, Scream,
no,
6,
I think
7, I haven't seen them, but to me it seems like the same old thing, guy in a mask.
I think the third one, it starts to feel that, and then there's enough separation between that and the fourth one where there's something kind of new to say about horror, because horror has evolved at that point. And likewise, when we get to the fifth one, and the fifth one had a, like, it's a play on requels, and like, I think the way kind of the meta-ness, like, it is that movie that it's making fun of as well. It is like, it's just so well executed.
I think for me, it kind of redeemed the franchise a little bit, because I was a bit sour after the last one. But I'll happily say, I think I said to James, we'll message, and I said I'd quite happily see this current cast go on to the next movie without
the core four, maybe.
Yeah, without the kind of the Courtney Coxes and all that lot. You can leave.
I think one thing that impressed me about the last movie was, I remember, because Dewey's not introduced until about 40 minutes in, and I remember thinking to myself, like, I wouldn't really mind if he wasn't in it at all, and if none of them were in it at all, and we just followed these guys, because I thought they were such good characters.
Well, that's part of my big problem with the Scream franchise in general. Fundamentally, it talks an awful lot about the rules of slasher films, but doesn't actually adhere to, like, one of the fundamentals, which is that you don't know, the characters in the film shouldn't know that the killer's there for the entire film every time. Like, it's about having fun up until it isn't, and you die. Like, that's sort of like the...
I don't know what you mean.
Well, if you look at any other slasher, basically, not any other, there are exceptions, but all the characters know that the killer is a threat throughout the entire film, especially in the sequels. Like, as soon as there's a kill, everybody is worried about it. Whereas in other slasher films, they're always divided. So nobody knows about the killer until usually the final girl, which is at the end of the film.
Yeah.
It's not about you don't know, the characters don't know who it is. It's just it works much better.
Oh, if they're unsuspecting, like they were.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose that's what we get in the opening sequence, and then you have like the phone calls, like the main character typically gets called throughout the movie, so you can't really have that.
All interesting stuff, guys. I think we could probably do another show all about Scream, which maybe is one.
I'd absolutely love to. Yeah.
Let's have a
so we'll knock spoilers off, guys.
Yeah, let's crack back into MCU. Now, this might be a complete load of rubbish. It might be a load of tripe, but this rumor seems to be making the rounds at the moment that James Spader will return as Ultron at some point in Armor Wars. What do you guys think of that? Are you fans of Ultron in the movie? Ephraim,
I absolutely love Ultron. I love Ultron in the comics. I love him in the movies. When they rebuilt the White Vision in, I was really hoping it was going to be James Spader's voice.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was a theory some threw around at the time. I remember.
What about yourself, Ephraim?
I like the voice, James Spader. I like his voice as Ultron. So yeah, as long as it's a good take, I'd like to see him again. I hate what they've done to him in a comic book store recently. When he merged with Hank Pym, I was like, oh my god, get rid of that. I just
is that still the case? Because that was a few years back.
As far as I know, I still merged with them. I thought that was a disservice to one of the founding Avengers. Ended up like that.
I wasn't a fan of that either. Rob, what about yourself? Are you a big Ultron fan?
No, I'm done with Ultron in the movies. Anyways, he came, he saw, he got his ass kicked. Let's move on.
Yeah, I think for comic fans who've read a lot of Ultron over the years, that film was a bit of a letdown in some ways. I kind of wanted a much bigger, but I know you would argue that
Ultron is essentially Marvel Skynet, right? That's who he should be. That's what we want out of a film with him in it.
Unlike a lot of comic fans, I can fully separate the movie universe from the comic book universe. And I don't understand why it's so hard for so many comic book fans who are been exposed to the multiverse and all this stuff to have no problem having Earth 2, Earth 3, all this stuff. But the second we go to that the movies are not going to follow the script in the comics, their minds get blown and they go on rages that want to overturn and burn the cities down.
I feel attacked. I feel attacked. This is not a safe place.
So when it comes to the movies, if they want to do something completely different, I'm fine with that. I think they're stupid sometimes because here was a successful storyboard already done for you that you could follow, but I can live with it. They made a choice with what they did with Ultron in these movies. He's done and buried. There's so much more that we can do. I don't need you to go resurrect this unless it's going to be a really damn good story this time.
Yeah.
Well, I was wondering if it was going to be Kang that resurrected him, because Kang's very technological based, and I wasn't sure if he would bring Ultron back as one of his army.
It's funny you said that. I saw it turned out to be fake, but like a leaked picture from it was supposed to be a leaked picture from Quantumania of Ultron, and I remember Multiverse of Madness. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you see the Ultron bots, so some people thought there'd be a more Ultron-y thing in that, and there wasn't. But I think I enjoyed James Spader's performance in Ultron. I understand what people had probably. It's too comedic. It's played as too comedic, and he's not intimidating enough. I think What If, to an extent, sort of redeemed that. Like, where he's incredibly intimidating, but it was sort of let down by the fact that it's not James Spader. I feel.
Yeah, I kind of feel Fuzzy's right here. That there are 300 villains. I mean, there's more.
Yeah.
Choose someone else.
Exactly. And if you're doing anything with Kang's got, there's so many variations to him. We don't need to introduce anybody else along with that. And that's where I think a lot of some of the movies in the past have always come into failure. When you get into superhero movies, something that Marvel has, for the most part, recently avoided was this thing of like, okay, here's our first movie. We have one bad, one good guy. Next movie, we've already introduced the concept of the good guy, so we must introduce 2 new bad guys and raise the stakes and do something else. And the third movie, we must introduce 3 new bad guys and this, right? And we just make it really ridiculous where we're introducing way too much all at once. Go ahead. I like what they did originally with a slow burn introduction of Thanos. It was a very long, slow introduction lead up to him. And I thought it was great. follow that. We don't need to rehash the dead. So much different stuff that I want to see them do and move on to.
No, I think you're right. I think for a lot of the big key movies, they seem to, particularly DC, I have to say, they regurgitate the same villains every time they're doing recasting of Superman, for example. You get your Zod or whatever. You know, it's a bit the same with Batman. I mean, we've talked about Batman in some of our shows. The multitude of villains. We're going to do a show in a few weeks' time about the top 3 Bat villains. And yet we've only seen a handful of them in the movies. It's always the same faces, you know?
Whether you love or like the most recent Batman movie, whether regardless of the fact that they launched a Batman movie and didn't start off with the Joker, that was just props. I mean, Riddler is one that doesn't get enough attention, really, I think, and is a great villain. I'd love to see them go down. Come on, give me a good Scarecrow. And we did get some of that in the Dark Knight stuff with Scarecrow, but there's so many different villains.
I want Kite Man.
Well,
he's not a guy. He's not a bad guy.
My problem with Kite Man is the quintessential Kite Man has now been done in the HBO series Harley Quinn. And I think of him every time I hear Kite Man, I think of Duff Man. At the same time.
You see, I think we've had a lot of great Batman movies, and the majority of them have been fairly grounded. So I agree with Simon. I want to go a bit wacky. I'd like to see a Clayface. I'd love to see a Man Bat. You know, give us a horror version Batman film with them fighting something like Man Bat. You know,
Matt Reeves has said he wants to do Mr. Freeze next. So
yeah, but Christ, do him well. Don't.
Yeah, well, I think it will be a good. Like, it's with the tone that it's going for. I think it will be a good representation.
Yeah, I did like the Mr. Freeze stuff that they did in Gotham.
Oh yeah.
See,
I love Gotham. People, I mean, some of our
I also love Gotham. I think it's great.
Some of our colleagues pulled Gotham to bits. I thought Gotham was
I really enjoyed Gotham, but I was drinking throughout watching it every time. So
that's perfectly fine.
I can never tell whether it's just me. I made a point of having a beer every time I watched Gotham because I was pretty sure I would hate it if I didn't.
That's fair.
No, I think Gotham's good. Well, speaking of kind of characters coming back, this is an interesting bit of news. Beetlejuice 2, and apparently it is going to have Michael Keaton. I mean, I am a huge Michael Keaton fan. Anybody that watches the channel knows he's my Batman. I love everything he's in. Do I want to see a Beetlejuice 2? I don't think I do.
I do. It's been a long time.
I also do.
Yeah,
I think I don't know why they stopped that one. Like, I think they should have made a few of them.
Let's bring Drop Dead Fred back as well.
But that's going to be more of a challenge because Rick Neal's dead. Do you know what I mean?
These are those types of movies that they sit there and go like a sequel this many years later and go, God, I don't know if I want that or not. Can we do it? But if they can do it right, vis-a-vis Top Gun,
exactly.
I'm all in. Well, but if they're going to do it wrong and they're going to just try to take the exact same theme and retell the same story 100% basically with just a new character, then I don't need it. It's just a waste of time. And so
I think you've made a really good point. Sorry, Von,
to do it.
Sorry, Matt. I was just going to say you made a really good point there, Rob, because I fear sequels because I don't want it to diminish my memory and my feeling of the first movie,
especially after that long of a time.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right. I was blown away by Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah, it's better than the original. Like,
I went into Top Gun thinking, my God, why am I going to watch this? This is just going to be crap. And then what was odd was just before we went to go see it, I watched the original and go, oh my God, this movie's not as good as I thought it was.
Yeah, so did I.
When I sat down with my kid to watch it, and this is the problem I do with many movies that are great in my head. I live my world in rose-tinted glasses. My memories are not aligned with reality sometimes. And so
before I come to Von Hood, because I know you were going to say something, I'm going to upset probably half of anybody that's watching. Just in relation to what you were saying there, I went to see the Ghostbusters reboot, the one with the four ladies, with my son, and I came out and I was very, Thomas, this isn't Ghostbusters. We need to watch Ghostbusters, and we watched it. and by God, that was a hard watch. It hasn't, in my rose tinted glasses of what I remember feeling at the time. Crikey, it hasn't aged well.
I will tell you, when it comes to rose tinted glass, and I say this often, even though I'm a huge Star Wars fan, okay? It's quintessentially defined my entire love for sci-fi through as a child. But I will tell you, even the original trilogy, folks, if you have sit and watch the original movie, it's not bad, don't get me wrong, but it ain't as good as you remember it.
It's a bit of a slog, isn't it? Especially if you're trying to get someone into the series when you get to the fourth one, like if it's your girlfriend or your wife or whoever, they're like, this is not like good. Like always start with Phantom Menace, like amazingly, because it's a bit more modern and they might kind of lean in a bit more, you know. Yeah.
We're all off. Some of us are off to Star Wars Celebration in London, so I'm sure we'll be immersed in this Star Wars.
Can I just
sorry,
well?
Luke, mate. Sorry, Luke. Just a second, mate. Sorry, bud. Dr. Von Hoot, I cut you off before. We'll come to you in a second, Luke. Von Hoot, what did you want to say, mate?
I don't remember.
I think you're saying there has to be a reason to do this movie.
Yeah, there does. Thank you. It was Kevin Smith's story about how that he was originally up for doing like Beetlejuice Hawaii or whatever it was, and his big joke is sort of like, need we go tropical? Like, what's if there is a reason for the sequel, or I guess a reboot, then I'm fine with it. Like recently Maverick knocked it out of the park. I mean, it was one of the very best sequels in a long time. And then at the same time, Bill and Ted 3 made me want to shove needles in my ears. And
how dare you?
What?
How dare you?
Bill and Ted 3 is quite well regarded. Like I think
Bill and Ted 3 is better than the second.
Yeah.
No, I'm not having it. Like that's...
But then, like I think Beetlejuice like has sort of gone beyond just that original movie because you have a very successful musical as well, which is fantastic.
Just said, because I'm a big Bill and Ted's fan to begin with, but let me preface this. With the exception of maybe the ending of the third movie, I thought the third movie was wrapped up very kind of like, we ran out of time, we ran out of budget, let's end the film. But the rest of it, I quite enjoyed Bill and Ted's 3. I've watched it many times, but then again, I also like yoga hosers, so you know what am I going to do?
I would watch Yoga Hosers a million times over watching Bill and Ted 3 again, just because it's so disappointing from how it's right.
You've lost
one of my things about sequels.
It's no neighbors. That's what we'll say.
No, it's when I can see it nearly being good. Like that's when I get annoyed.
Oh, so like Red Dwarf after season 8.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's nearly being good.
Nearly good. That really frustrates me. And Bill and Ted 3 is nearly good. They nearly did everything right, but they didn't at all.
You can't complain about Keanu. He's a god amongst men. Luke, we'll cut you off, mate. What were you saying?
That's all right. I love Beetlejuice. I think it's an amazing story that kind of shouldn't work, but really does. You know, it's just absolutely phenomenal. I love it so much so that my daughter is actually called Lydia after the character.
Thank God! I thought you were going to say Beetlejuice.
That's how much I love this film. Now, with that being said, however, rumors about a sequel have been going on for decades now. And to be honest, I don't believe this rumor one bit.
It's not a rumor; it's been confirmed.
Has it though? By who?
Today officially been announced.
Well, I've put a slide up, Luke, so it's as good as done.
IGN, Variety, The Hollywood Reporter, Deadline. It's official. Like it's
right. Okay.
Somebody's actually put some money into it now.
Someone's put some money up.
I think like if you're going to pick someone to star,
movie.
No, it could get it could like fall apart down the road, but it's in development at the moment. So it's. Like,
I mean, obviously, the actress who they've selected is
perfect to be in a movie.
Is hot right now. You know, she's been she's in the Scream movie. She's in the Wednesday show and all that. So it makes perfect sense that they're going to throw this money in at this project. Yeah. It's whether or not they can make it work, because obviously, what happens with other characters? Like, it's all very well going, this is Lydia's daughter, like that's who they're pegging it to be. It's like, okay, Keaton may or may not be on board, but what about everyone else? Like, is it just going to be that now that character has died and it's her daughter there, and it's, like you say, a rehash of the old story? Or is it going to be, I don't know. Like I say, these rumors have been circulating for a really long time. It's nice to hear that this is actually more official.
I mean, I'll watch anything with Michael Keaton in it. I think he's just phenomenal. And Beetlejuice has always been one of my favorites.
Yeah, so it'll just be good to see his performance again, I think.
Is Tim Burton attached to this?
Yeah, I don't know.
I believe he's either producer. Like, the reason Jenna Ortega's in it is because he worked with her on Wednesday, so he's attached to it. I don't know if he's directing, but he's a producer.
Phenomenal.
I would like him to produce rather than direct, personally, but you know,
exciting. It'll be interesting to see what comes of it. Bringing us back to a bit of sci-fi, we've got Mandalorian episode 2. Now this could get spicy. Has everybody seen it?
Yeah.
Good stuff. Spoilers for those in the chat. Episode 2. I'll come to Ephraim first. Ephraim, what did you think?
I've been enjoying the series. It's been entertaining. Is it the best Mandalorian season? No, obviously it's not. But I do like Katie Sackhoff, her portrayal of Bo-Katan. I think it's spot on. Just the anguish on her face every time they go to her. So I'm curious to see. I seen it. Like I said, I seen episode 2. I'm curious to see, where it goes from there. And I have my fingers crossed. That it continues.
That's a hot take that she's plays the character well. She's the only actress to ever play the character.
Yeah.
Either in voice or as a voice actor or as a live actor. So
what do you think, Rob? Because you're a big Star Wars fan, aren't you?
I have so many mixed feelings about this episode, right? And this season thus far. But there are certain things that irritate me greatly about it. One, I don't like the fact that in episode 1 we spend so much time making it sound like, oh, I've got to have IG-11. Oh, what? I don't? I can have this broken down astromech? Sure, why not? Sounds good.
Yeah.
Let's go with that.
That was stupid.
That was just asinine. Everybody else told me that I can't find a memory module, but you told me I can't find them? Well, shoot. So that was that type of stuff just seems kind of lazy. Bo-Katan sending him away in the season 1 in the first episode, and then she sees the ship come back. Oh, I'm going to kill him, and now he's not there. Well, I'll go save him so I can kill him. I don't know what I'm going to do. You know what? It just doesn't make sense. Some of those things that they do, but ultimately, as I'm starting to watch this play out, I haven't decided 100%. I think that what we're getting is a Luke Skywalker journey where Din Djarin is our Luke Skywalker. Right, that he's starting off, he's just a character we're getting introduced to. Normally, he's operating on his own. He's doing his own thing away from everything else that's going on. And somehow he's getting slowly brought into these politics or whatever else, everything else, as the new chosen one or whatever that we're going to do. He's got the Darksaber. He's got to learn stuff. Is he going to learn stuff? Is Bo-Katan's character going to find her acceptance that she's not going to be the leader of everything, but maybe she takes on the Obi-Wan role of like the advisor type of thing, as she goes from being very jaded because she lost the saber, because she feels responsible for the death of all the Mandalorians and the destruction of the planet and everything, and the way everything broke up, and you almost see when they're walking through there, she's going, well, let me give you the full tour, and reads the plaque about this is this. But the look on her face that changes as he starts to recite the creed and take a walk into the waters. And then once she sees what's underneath the water, right. And kind of like this reaction, kind of almost like you see, like maybe she's going to have this enlightening, like, oh, wow, I'm going to wake up now. This really is maybe the way. And through this, we can reinvigorate this, and this somebody who's not even been on Mandalore, who's now really carries that true heart of the Mandalore, and we can bring these things together. That type of stuff kind of makes me want to see this hero's journey as it progresses.
Yeah. I mean, that's really interesting, Rob, because we've talked Star Wars a lot on my channel and on other people's channels. And I am a Star Wars fan, but I'm not a
mega fan.
Sorry?
You're not a mega fan.
I'm not a mega fan. I'm not
No.
blinded by it. And we've had a conversation before. Myself and James and some of the other guys have been reviewing The Last of Us recently. And I don't know if you've seen that, but for me, the writing between The Last of Us and this is night and day in terms of quality and feeling and emotion and believability. And what I keep getting told is it's Star Wars, just accept it. That doesn't cut it anymore for me. Do you know what I mean? It has to make sense.
Go back to our rose-tinted glasses I talked about. Even go watch some of your dialogue and your writing in your first trilogy. I mean, there's stuff that's you have to. There's stuff at certain times you just kind of you got to kind of look past it and try to look at what's going on in the overall and hope that enough of the overall outweighs the nuance stuff. But you do call out some of the nuance stuff, and you just got to go, come on, dude. I mean, did anybody really think about that for a second? Yeah.
James, what did you think, mate?
I mean, what do you think? I of course I liked it. You know, it's Star Wars. Listen, I would agree. I think Rob's saying sort of is that it's a little bit disjointed because they've set up sort of in last season and even the first episode like a conflict between Bo-Katan and Din, and like that will turn lethal at some point. And yet in this one she goes and rescues him, and not just like rescues him like from like having his blood drained, but then jumps in the water after him as well. So like that seems to have kind of gone out the window. But like the Mandalorian has always kind of been, you have a main story episode and then 2 like mini missions and then another main story episode. So like that's not something that's particularly new. But like what's in here I think was great. I love seeing Grogu actually being competent at things. Like he's not really acting like a baby anymore. So that's something that I think that progression is interesting. Just seeing the mythosaur, you know, this kind of creature that we've only ever seen a symbol of in Star Wars canon for like 30 years now, and like to actually see it physically now was really exciting. Some people have said it's a bit like you can't see that much. I didn't really get that problem with it, and I thought the creature designs for like the droid that like sucks his blood, that was awesome, and like the kind of caveman things as well were cool. So like so it's not like I wouldn't rank this in the top half of Mandalorian episodes, but like I enjoyed it all the same.
I'll tell you what threw me off really quick on this episode when Din said he's never been on Mandalore. I went, what? I don't know that character that well, but that threw me off. I go, he's never been there. That didn't make sense.
It was basically destroyed like right as the Empire kind of took over. So like Din was only a kid at the time.
Okay.
Yeah. He actually hadn't even been adopted in the timeline in the story. He hadn't yet been adopted until around that time, but also he's adopted by the Night Watch, which if you have to go back to some of the cartoon stuff where they expanded some of this universe where you had, and he references the 2 moons. It's a Mandalorian said his Night Watch had moved to one of the other moons where his clan was. So
okay, gotcha. Yeah, that threw me off a little bit.
Simon, what about yourself? Did you enjoy this episode?
Yes. Yeah, I love Star Wars. You know, I love Star Wars. You know, that's why we're going to celebrations. You were right. I was a bit annoyed where he just like took on that other droid, because I was like, what was the point in that first episode then? It was just like, there was elements in there that really annoyed me. Other than that, I put it aside because I love my Star Wars lore. I know there's going to be announcements and other cool stuff that's going to be coming in the next couple of 2 episodes or whatever. So I'm just looking forward to that.
Good stuff. Von Hoot.
Yeah, I mean, did R5D4 need a redemption arc?
No, not at all. Yeah. Von Hoot, what did you think?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I don't have an awful lot to say about it because I don't care that much. Like, I like the general world, and I like the lone wolf and cubness of it with him walking around with Grogu. It's cool. Like, it's you know, a space western. And that's what I'm watching. But I don't care about the lore and stuff. I'm with Efren in so much as I was like, he's never been.
I liked you.
Like, it's just
send those mugs back.
I've never delved deep into it. It's just not been a thing.
I think I'm the same as you. Von Hood. I enjoy it, but I don't delve into. Whereas if we want to talk Star Trek, I do delve into the lore and the knowledge and the background and all the rest of it. Star Wars, I like.
Peter and Doctor Who, you've not watched the Clone Wars animated series or anything, so that within that, people who have watched that do appreciate it more because they know the Mandalorian.
I get that, but you shouldn't have to have had watched it.
You shouldn't have.
This is what I was talking about earlier today on Legion of Comics channel. In the first hour, we were talking about this, and I said, this is the problem with these interconnected properties. As you produce more and more stuff, and as they're interconnected, the reliance on knowledge of other elements to get full pictures and a full appreciation make it very difficult for new fans to come into it stuff. And Star Wars has been awful since Disney bought it, really, of being, you go back to the original Disney trilogy movies that they released, right? If you go from what you had before Disney to all of a sudden that trilogy, if you haven't read the novels and stuff that they get up behind, explain, where is this New Republic? Why is Leia running this other rebellion, essentially? If they're not fighting this government, where did this new order come from? All this stuff none of it is explained. It just is. It just and you go, oh, okay, well, good guys, bad guys. I've seen this movie before. Hooray. I guess I know what's going on, but really you don't, because there was a whole bunch of other stuff that was explained, like on why she's not with the New Republic stuff that happened in these books that you have to read in order to know this stuff, or at least give to your son and have him read them so he can tell you, so that way I can be up to speed, right? Or watch somebody else on YouTube tell me why it's.
How about yourself, Luke?
Do you know what? I was so into Mandalorian for the first 2 seasons, and then they brought out all the rest of the content. We had the Book of Boba Fett, which heavily tied in with it all. And again, you misplaced the story. It's much what I was saying earlier about how you have to watch everything or else you miss out. I wasn't going to watch this for a while. I would always get round to watching it, but like I said to you guys on a previous stream, I don't feel like I have to rush to watch everything now, and I can just take my time. It will be there when I want to watch it. But I watched it because I knew we were going to be talking about it, and in doing so, I just kind of felt like it was a bit of a waste of my evening. To be honest, it was very dark. Could hardly see anything. That might just be my TV.
I've seen other people
blame that. Not going to blame that completely on the show. There's always moments, don't get me wrong. I love seeing that little Grogu guy. I love seeing little baby Yoda jumping around and doing his thing. But I'm not that big into it. I can take it and leave it. And at the moment, it all feels too much. There's too much content being shoved at us. And I just want a bit of a break. I want there to be these longer gaps in between.
A bit of breathing space. Fuzzy's saying that he would give it 3 out of 5 fuzzes. I think that's very fair, Fuzzy. And he's also saying he watched it, he enjoyed it for years. He doesn't overthink it too much because he understands at the end of the day, it'll never match the greatness of She-Hulk.
Does it feel like not as many people are like watching it or like even know that it's on at the moment, like more than usual?
I think there's a lot of people who are burnt out, but also if you think, this is what I was thinking. Forget the story. Just imagine if you've seen it. Forget Boba Fett for a moment. Just wipe that from our memories. We feel better already. Go from the high of the end of last episode of season 2 to this.
Absolutely. Completely agree. Okay, guys. So interesting. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I said on Instagram that although I enjoyed it, I wanted to love it, and I'm just not there, and I don't know why. I can't put my finger on it. Do you know what I mean? It's just
it's been my relationship with Star Wars for the last 20 years.
yeah, absolutely. Now, this has got us kind of excited. This is the new Joker movie. Really enjoyed the last Joker movie. This is the official still that came out, and then we've had some interesting images kind of crop up online. Lots of debate and discussion about what this is, whether this is some kind of hallucination or whatever, or if it's a stunt double or whatever. No idea. Are we excited for this movie, gents?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be awesome. This is like going to be the Godfather Part 2. This is going to be like just as good as the first. I think.
Man,
That's how I feel. I think it's going to be on that level. Honest to God, you laugh, but watch it happen.
Yeah.
I'm really interested. I wouldn't say I was excited. I'm really intrigued by it. I'll be first in line to see it just because they're doing something interesting, which is always good. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I did I love the first? The first movie was a very good movie. Did I think it was a Batman movie? Probably not.
No, it's not really.
But I don't know if I want more. If that makes sense.
I don't know if I needed it.
Didn't need a second one, did it really?
But I think that just hammers home that there's a good concept here. Like they wanted to do another one. Joaquin Phoenix signed on for another
They
one.
wanted money.
That
It has nothing to do with the
Joaquin Phoenix is plenty rich.
Yeah, he picks and chooses, doesn't he?
He's not.
I mean,
this for money.
have any of you guys read the Harleen graphic novel?
No.
That's a very good.
Yeah, I have.
novel.
Yeah, it is really, really good.
If I thought we were getting that kind of story, I would be quite interested in this. But I don't know. I'm just. Yeah.
If I were to guess, I'd say they were going to remake another 70s movie, just not Taxi Driver this time. And, you know, like it'll be in that sort of vein.
I'll be cautiously optimistic for it, but I've not. The first one was fun.
Yeah. And Lady Gaga has got acting chops, hasn't she? She's actually a phenomenal actress. So
did you see the picture of her in the makeup?
Yeah, I mean, it was quite.
It's not full transition. I think it's a mid. Like it's just.
It was quite subtle, wasn't it? It was quite subtle.
It's just an all black thing. Like.
Yeah. Okay, guys, we're approaching the 2-hour mark here, and I know Efren will need his cocoa and tapped out and get ready for bed. So we'll start winding things up here. Just quickly looking into the future, guys. Just what have we got coming up on your channels? So Luke, we'll start with yourself, mate. What's happening on Hydra Collectibles?
Yeah, so Hydra Collectibles, where we let our geek flag fly. I've been delving into short form content, which is something that I put off for a really long time. I've got quite a few movie fact videos, which I really enjoyed doing last month. I've done some 30 odd of those. And now I'm delving into some Spider-Man 101 short videos. So little brief intro to each character of the Spider-Man mythos. As well as that, I've still got some long-form content, including but not limited to a Making Sense of Pence show and tell with my good friend here, Peter, Triple G Comics himself. And we're going to do a little show and tell of some of our UK Pence variants. And that's going to come out on Sunday at, I believe, 8 o'clock.
Good stuff. Excellent. Thanks very much, Luke. Efren, my good friend, what have you got coming up?
I'm doing shorts also. Actually, I sent a message to James to help me out for a quick, ask some questions about a short. And I told him, for a short, these take a long time to produce. 3 hours. I'm like, dang, it took too long, but I'm doing long, videos too with you guys, with Peter. We do our monthly picks of the month, I'm just trying to have fun on my channel and just be entertained, And we got James, well, you're going to talk about what's coming up next Wednesday, so I won't say anything.
Good stuff. And Efren, we're going to catch up this week to do our monthly picks, because that's always good fun. James T, what have you got coming up?
Yeah, so every week we've been talking about The Last of Us, so we're up to episode 8, which we talked about on Thursday. So that's been great, and it all comes to a close on Wednesday now. 8 p.m. we'll be talking about the series finale or season finale. So that's going to be a good one.
Is that something you've been watching, Rob? Have you been watching The Last of Us?
Nope.
Yeah, it's been. I mean, I don't know if you like your horror.
You're exposing my lack of a lot of things, aren't you?
Yeah, you're going to have to hand back your geek card, I'm afraid.
I'm all in geek into very certain niches.
It's well worth a watch. It is very good. I'm looking forward to that, James. I'm looking forward to the finale because it's. I can't believe how quickly it's gone past. To be honest, it's flown.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, looking forward to that. Comic lads, Simon. This feels like it's been decades in the making.
Decades.
Yeah, as long as I've known you, we've been talking about what's happening next.
Yeah. And I'm doing my first live, guys. This Sunday at 8 p.m. GMT time.
Nice.
Can't wait. Can't wait.
It's
That's
going
going
to
to be
be
great fun.
covering stuff like I'm into, going back to what you're covering, like what people are into. I'm into anime, so I'm going to cover some of my favorite anime shows. Peter's not big on anime, but I'm going to introduce him to it. And then I've got a bit of gaming in there and a bit of K-drama, which is Korean drama. K-drama.
Oh, right. Okay.
It's a topic I think the whole panel is very well versed in, isn't it? It'll make for a great conversation.
What kind of drama?
The Korean dramas. Korean series. Okay. Yeah.
Looking forward to it, Simon. And all jokes aside, really good that you're going to be getting yourself into a live show. Hopefully, we'll get some content out as well soon. So, onwards and upwards for your channel, mate. Please do go and subscribe to everybody, but Simon as well, because he's just starting out. Good old Dr. Von Hoot. What can we expect on your channel?
Tonight or tomorrow, depending on whether I go to sleep or not, because I've only had 3 hours sleep. It should be a WrestleCrate unboxing. Then on Monday we've got another slab, and it just rotates like that, really. Yeah,
good stuff. And I'm just spotting there behind you. Is that the first appearance of Ursula Bloodstone you've got in CGC?
Yeah.
Tremendous book. Yeah. Love that one. Okay, very good stuff, mate. Rob, what have we got coming up on your channel?
Well, hey, first of all, thanks for having me on, inviting me on. Appreciate that. This Saturday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. So 11. What is it? What time is it? 7:30 p.m. We think we decided.
Yeah.
BST. Will be only slabs. I do a show every Saturday with my co-host Chris the Comic Vet over on YouTube at robs.fatstacks, and we just have different creators, like I said, come on and we'll talk to them about, have them show off 25, 30 of their slabs, talk about the books, get to see what they got, and find out more about their comic book journey. Then on this week, I've got a video dropping on Sunday, which will be a walking tour through the Berkeley Comic Book Show, which is a little small event show that I went to the other day. I got a new camera with a gimbal, thought I'd try it out. It's a little show inside of a gym, basically, but it's all nothing but comic books. And then on Monday, we'll drop the actual haul video, and it was banger after banger after banger. So I ended up dropping about $2,000 there. So it's a spicy meatball. So that
Rob, you're from the Bay Area, right?
Yeah.
I was born and raised in San Francisco.
Okay. Yeah. I'm in Santa Clara, so just a stone's about a par 4 from the Niner Stadium.
Yep. Nice.
Fantastic. Great stuff. Looking forward to seeing that. So on this channel, first of all, we've done this twice now, last week and this week. We used to do a show called the Geek Report, which I quite enjoyed, and I quite enjoyed doing this both weeks. So I might look at doing this as a weekly feature. So I'll have my Monday live show and then a once a week kind of rundown of news and features. So let us know what you think about that, guys, if anybody's interested in doing that. On Sunday, I've got my Deadpool 2 1/6 scale action figure video coming out. And our next Monday show, which is this Monday coming, is Let's Talk Toys, where we're going to be talking all things action figures, vintage toys, 1/6 scale, small scale figures, game and news, all kinds of stuff. So we've got that coming up. So looking forward to that. Okay, so thank you very much, everybody. Can I just encourage everybody in the chat, and please do like and subscribe to everybody on the panel's channels, please. It really does help a lot. Thank you to everybody that's been on the panel. Really do appreciate you coming on. Rob, lovely to meet you. Thank you very much for jumping on with us tonight.
Looking forward to your appearance in the future on Only Slabs. We got you coming up in May.
Yeah, can't wait for that. I've got some interesting ones to show you, I think.
Phenomenal.
So that should be good fun. Thank you. And again, a massive thank you to everybody that's been in the chat. Your support really is appreciated. And with that, we'll call it a night. So thank you very much, everybody, and we'll catch you next time. Take care.